5 days. 5 days of heat that never let up. 5 days of sand, wind, and silence broken only by the distant hum of drones and patrol choppers sweeping the sky. They moved at night when they could, hid when they had to, drank little, ate even less. By the time the desert finally began to thin, rock replacing dunes and dry scrub creeping back into the land, they were all running on fumes. Dozer stumbled slightly as they crested a low ridge. Tell me that's the edge of this godforsaken wasteland. Timber squinted ahead. Yeah, that's terrain change. We're almost out. Sarge didn't relax. It's not yet, we're not. Sliver stood still for a moment, scanning. The air felt different here, not safer, just less empty. We keep moving, he said. No one argued outwardly. They just sighed and continued walking. They started down the slope, then about halfway down the ground shifted. Not naturally. Too sharp, too sudden. Sarge froze. Wait. A metallic clank echoed. Then figures rose from concealment. 5 of them, encased in dark reinforced cybernetic power suits. Angular plating, glowing seams, their weapons already raised. Their movements were precise. Synchronized, not beasts, not assets. Hunters, hired, prepared, and waiting. Gunfire erupted instantly. No warning, no negotiation. Rounds tore into the ground around them, kicking up sand and stone. Get down, Sarge shouted. They dove for cover behind scattered rock formations as the barrage continued. Dozer slammed in behind a boulder, chunks of stone splintering off under fire. Bloody ambush, seriously? Disciplined fire pattern, Sarge growled, peeking briefly before ducking back. They knew we'd come this way. How? Timber called from behind a boulder. How the hell should I know? Sarge growled. Sliver stayed low, but his eyes were already locked onto them, analyzing. 5 targets, armored, coordinated, weapons high caliber, not meant to capture. Then one of them stepped forward slightly, raised a hand, and the firing stopped. Abruptly, a voice came through, amplified and distorted by the suit.
A set, Sliver.
The words cut through the desert air.
You are to be returned, alive. The others will be terminated.
Silence fell. From behind cover, Dozer let out a low, humorless laugh. Well, that's clear enough. Timber's grip tightened on a chunk of rock he'd ripped loose. I'd like to see them try. Sarge glanced toward Sliver. They're not here for us. Sliver didn't look back. His eyes stayed on the hunters.
They never were.
The lead figure took another step forward.
Surrender now.
The voice ordered.
You will not be harmed.
He took another step.
Failure to comply will result in escalation.
Sliver slowly stood and stepped out of cover. Sliver, Sarge growled. Sliver raised a hand slightly, stopping them. He faced the hunters, calm still.
No!
One word. Flat. Unshaken. The desert wind picked up slightly, dragging sand across the ground between them. The hunters didn't move, didn't react at first. Then the lead one tilted his head.
Well, unfortunately, that means we have to drag you in.
Weapons raised again. Power surged through the suits. Systems whining as they ramped up. Behind Sliver, Sarge exhaled slowly. Right then, we don't have a choice. Dozer grinned, despite everything. I guess we're doing this. Timber rolled his shoulders. Been a while since we had a proper fight, Dozer lad. Sliver didn't look back, but he spoke.
Stay together, move as one, and stay behind me. They need me alive.
And with that, Sliver lunged. Down the slope in a blur of dark blue and sand, his body cutting through the terrain faster than the mercenaries could recalibrate their aim. He hit the lead man mid-step. a full-force flying kick that slammed into his chest plate with a thunderous impact and drove him backward into the one behind. Both went down hard, armor screeching as they collided and rolled. "Go!" Sarge roared, and the team surged forward. Dozer barreled down the slope like a living battering ram, Timber right behind him, both of them closing distance before the remaining hunters could reset. Gunfire erupted again, but now it was messy, broken, too close. Sliver didn't stop moving. He twisted past a burst of rounds, shots grazing past him as he dropped low. Then he surged upward, straight onto one of the standing mercs, lashing another across the head of his tail as he landed. They hit the ground together, hard. The merc tried to bring his weapon around, but Sliver didn't let him. Two blades flashed into his hands, the daggers Malcolm had given him with the armor, designed for penetration, for tearing through things that shouldn't be torn. Sliver drove them down. The armor split, and the blades punched straight through. The mercenary inside screamed as Sliver tore into the suit's weak point, ripping plating apart with brutal, precise force, like he was opening a can of beans. Beside them, Dozer grabbed another merc and lifted him off his feet, slamming him into the ground, hard enough to dent the armor inward. Timber followed through, driving a heavy strike into the same spot. Sarge moved like a machine, controlled, efficient, disarming, striking, forcing the last one back under constant pressure. For a moment, it looked like they had it. Then, the two Sliver had kicked at the start. They were back up, systems damaged but functional, weapons raised. "Timber," Sarge shouted, but it was too late. Gunfire burst out. Rounds tore into Timber's side, punching through gaps in his defense. He staggered, then hit the ground hard. Everything slowed, just for a second, as Sliver turned. Something inside him just snapped. Not like before. Not controlled, not measured. Raw, violent, unfamiliar.
No!
The sound tore out of him deep and distorted. The two mercenaries adjusted their aim toward Dozer, but they never got the shot. Sliver's head snapped forward, his body tensed, and then spat. A spray of thick, green, hissing liquid burst from his mouth. It was acid. It hit the hunters full on. Their armor screamed. Metal began to bubble instantly, plating sagging and collapsing under the corrosive assault. They staggered, scrambling, trying to wipe it away, but it only spread it more. It began eating through joints, seams, systems. The remaining mercs didn't hesitate. They pulled back, wrenching off the melting armor, retreating fast, and dragging their damaged teammates as they fled across the terrain. Within seconds, they were gone, leaving only scorched sand and the smell of burning metal behind. "Timber, can you hear me?" Sarge was already at his side, dropping to his knees. Dozer followed immediately, all humor gone. "Stay with us, mate." Timber groaned, clutching his side. Blood soaked through his hand. "I'm not dead yet," he muttered weakly. Sarge worked fast, pressing down on the wound. "You will be. If we don't move." Sliver stood still for a moment, breathing heavier now, not from exertion, from something else. His gaze dropped slightly, to the ground where the acid had landed, to what he had just done.
I didn't know I could.
He said quietly. No one answered. No one had time. Sarge looked up. He needs help right now. Dozer nodded immediately. We're way too exposed here. The sound of rotors sounded in the distance. They'll be back, Sarge said. Next time they won't pull back. Sliver looked toward the horizon, then back at Timber. He stepped forward, carefully lifting Timber despite his size, adjusting him to minimize pressure on the wound. Timber winced, but didn't protest. Dozer took point. Sarge stayed close, monitoring, and Sliver carried him. They moved again, faster now, or desperate, leaving the battlefield behind. searching for anything, anyone that could help. Because this time, running wasn't just about escape. It was about survival. Timber's life hung in the balance, and finding shelter was the only chance they had. "20 minutes of jogging later, they found somewhere. The shack looked like it had been forgotten by the world. Rust-eaten tin walls, a sagging roof barely holding together, a crooked door hanging off a single hinge. It stood alone at the edge of the desert, like something that had given up years ago. But it was shelter, and right now that was enough. They moved in quickly, but carefully. Dozer ducked through first. No movement, no signs of recent use. "Clear," he called. Sliver carried Timber in, laying him down as gently as he could on the dusty wooden floor. Timber groaned faintly, barely conscious now. Sarge was already working. "Sliver, fuel. Anything that burns," he said without looking up. Sliver nodded once and turned, stepping back out into the cold desert night. He moved fast, breaking dead branches, pulling apart an old fencing post, even tearing loose parts of the collapsed outer wall nearby. Anything dry, anything usable. His hands worked without thought, but his mind didn't. It kept replaying it. The shot, Timber falling, the feeling that followed, the rage, and then the acid. He stopped for a second, staring at his own hand.
What else don't I know?
He muttered to himself, but no answer came. Just the wind. He grabbed the last of the wood and headed back inside. Sarge and Dozier had already started. Timber's shirt was cut open, the wound exposed. Dark blood still seeping, but slower now under pressure. "Good, you're back," Sarge said. "Drop it there." Sliver did. Dozier looked up briefly. "We're pulling it." Sliver nodded. No hesitation. Sarge braced Timber's shoulder. "Hold him." Dozier gripped him firmly. "On 3, Sarge said. 1, 2. He didn't wait for 3. He pulled. Timber's body jerked violently. Strained, unconscious sound forcing its way out of him as the bullet came free. Blood followed. Not a flood, but enough. "Got it," Sarge said, tossing the deformed round aside. "Now, I need fire. Quickly." Sliver was already moving. The flame caught quickly. Dry wood, igniting into a small but steady fire. Heat filled the shack in seconds. Light flickered across the metal walls. Sarge grabbed his blade and held it over the flame until it glowed faintly. Dozier didn't look away from Timber. "Do it." Sarge pressed it to the wound. The sound "oh" and the smell, flesh searing, fusing together. Timber's body tensed, then went still again. The bleeding slowed, then stopped. Sarge pulled back, breathing steady. "That'll hold." Silence followed, heavy and real as they all stared at Timber. Dozier sat back slightly, running a hand over his head. "He's still with us." Sliver stepped closer, looking down at Timber.
Will he make it?
Sarge didn't answer immediately. He checked the wound, the pulse, his breathing. Then he said, "If infection doesn't take him, and if we can keep him stable, yeah." There was hope, and that was enough. Dozier grabbed a canteen, carefully lifting Timber's head slightly. "Easy, mate. Small sips." A bit of water passed his lips. Not much, but something. They settled in. There was no more they could do. Not tonight. The fire crackled softly. Outside, the desert stretched on, cold, empty, and dangerous. Inside, they had a moment. Dozier took first watch over Timber, making sure he drank when he could. Sarge eventually closed his eyes, though his hand stayed near his weapon. Sliver sat across from the fire, watching the flames and thinking, that acid had come out of nowhere. What else was he capable of? After a while, he lay back and closed his eyes. Not to shut down, but to rest. Because tomorrow, they'd need to move again. And this time, had to find somewhere a little more secure. They moved before sunrise. No discussion. Timber was awake, barely, pale and much slower. But conscious. That was enough to keep moving. Dozer stayed close to him as they left the shack behind. The fire long dead, the place already starting to look like no one had ever been there. They hadn't gone far when the sound of rotors came. They dropped instantly, flattening against the terrain, barely breathing as a helicopter swept over the area they'd just left. They found it, Sarge whispered. Dozer exhaled slowly. That was way too close. Sliver watched it pass. They're getting closer, whispered Sarge.
We need to move before they pick up our trail.
They moved again, faster now, carrying timber half the time. By midday, the terrain changed. Dust gave way to cracked roads to broken infrastructure, and then a gas station. Shattered windows, empty shelves, pumps dead. But then, behind the building, a vehicle. Old, beat up, but intact. Sarge looked at it, then at the others. Well, he said, we're not walking. Zip wasn't there to make the joke. So, Dozer did. Congratulations, he muttered. You're the smallest. You drive. Sarge gave him a look. I hate all of you. He approached the vehicle's front cabin. It was some kind of delivery van, with a picture of a dairy farm on the side. Getting into it was a struggle. 7 feet of muscle and gear, crammed into a space meant for something much smaller. But he made it work. Engine turned over, coughed several rats out the exhaust pipe, then started. Get in. He called out the window. They piled in the back as best they could, doors barely closing, and they moved. The road stretched long, empty, and deserted, the landscape shifting. Slowly from sand to the outskirts of something that had once been lived in. No drones overhead, no choppers in sight. For the first time in days, they had breathing room. Dozer leaned back slightly. It's not bad, this. Sarge kept his eyes forward. Don't relax back there. Timber in the back shifted slightly with a quiet groan. Could you drive over any more bumps, Sarge? Sliver glanced back at him.
You should rest.
Trying, Timber muttered. The truck rattled on. Miles passed. Then, suddenly, the engine began to sputter. Sarge frowned. Don't do that. The engine coughed again, then died. The truck rolled to a slow, useless stop on an empty stretch of road. Sarge hit the wheel lightly. Fuel's gone. Timber sat up. Oh well, it was good while it lasted. They all sat there for a second. Then Sliver spoke.
It's no good just sitting here. We move.
And they all bailed out reluctantly. They left the truck behind, took what little they could carry, and walked. Timber stayed on his feet this time, barely, but he refused help unless he needed it. The land changed again as they moved. Roads led to structures, structures to ruins, and then the edge of a city, or what was left of one. Buildings broken, streets empty. Just the skeleton of something that used to be. Dozer looked out over it. Cheerful. Sarge scanned carefully. Still better than open ground. Sliver nodded slightly.
Less visibility, but there's still a few people around.
They're likely criminals, though, Sarge said. So they moved in carefully, quiet. Every step measured, every corner checked. The place felt abandoned, but not safe. They found it after a while. A house. Small, but fully intact. Door open. And inside. Dark, but stable. And fully furnished. Sarge checked first. Cleared it room by room. Good enough, he said. Then they entered. Dozer helped Timber down onto what was left of an old couch. Timber exhaled, exhausted. This is better than sand. Sliver stood near the doorway, watching outside, always watching. Sarge leaned against the wall, finally allowing himself to breathe. This works, he said. For now. Dozer nodded. You lay low, regroup. They'll keep coming, Timber muttered. No one disagreed. The house settled into silence. Not safe, not permanent, but something they hadn't had in days. A place to stop. They stayed for 2 full days. It felt strange. Not running, not hiding in motion, not sleeping with one eye open in the dirt. A roof, walls, and beds. It was enough to feel. It's almost still. They worked in shifts. Sarge kept it structured. 1 on watch, 1 resting, and 2 on scavenger runs. He'd said, no arguments. Sliver didn't sleep much, didn't need to, or maybe didn't trust it yet. He took the long watches, standing near broken windows, watching the dead streets, tracking every sound, every flicker of movement. Timber stayed in bed the first day. By the second, he was up and moving again. Slow, but steady. Still alive, he muttered, testing his side. Don't push it, Sarge warned. I won't, Timber said, smirking. But he still did. On the second night, they got lucky. Really lucky. Lights inside a house a few blocks over. Sliver spotted it first.
That's not empty.
Sarge crouched beside him, watching. People. Sliver's eyes narrowed slightly. Food, most likely, and other supplies we need, Sarge stated. He looked at Sliver. No words, just understanding. They both knew the risk. Sliver nodded once, and they moved into the shadows. They moved like ghosts. Quiet, deliberate, with no direct approach. Instead, they circled. Windows, walls, making enough noise to be just about noticed. Sliver slipped along the side of the house, barely making a sound. Sarge mirrored him from the opposite side. Inside, voices whispered, low and nervous. They could hear them. Sliver paused near a window, then moved just enough to be seen. A silhouette. Tall, wrong, unnaturally shaped. One of the people inside looked up and froze. What? What the hell is that? Man's voice stuttered. Sarge shifted on the other side, just enough to make a noise. A scrape, and a shadow moving where it shouldn't. Panic spread fast. They all stood up. What was that? I saw something as well. Get out, get out. The door burst open. A handful of humans ran hastily from the building and down the street. They didn't look back, didn't question it, just fled into the night. Sliver and Sarge moved in quickly. Food, water, supplies, more than they'd had in days.
Jackpot!
Sarge exhaled slowly. Take what we can carry, fast. They moved quickly, efficiently, but not recklessly. Then Sliver stopped, head tilting slightly, listening.
We're not alone.
Sarge froze. Where?
Back, front, and roof.
Sarge peeked through the front window. Figures stood in the street around the house. Beast agents, armed, organized, and they knew they were there. He could make out 2, a panda and a boar, neither of which he recognized. He ran to the back window. More figures. We're cornered, Sarge growled, slumping against the wall. Sliver didn't move. His eyes scanned them. Something felt different. They weren't advancing. Not yet. The formation tightened, then shifted. One figure stepped forward. Smaller, faster, familiar. You thought you could escape me? The voice said. Sarge's ears pricked up. The figure pulled back their hood, grinning. Did you miss me, guys? Sarge and Sliver were at the front door in seconds. Zip, Sarge called, tears welling in his eyes. We thought they got you. Zip smirked as he approached, clasping Sarge's hand tight. They did, that ghoul was fast. But I'll tell you all about it when we get inside. Not here, said Sarge, closing the door. We have a place not far. Timber and Dozer are there. He went to lead them away, but Sliver didn't move. He eyed up the surrounding beast agents.
Who are they?
Zip stopped and introduced them. The panda's Ben. He waved comically. The boar is Arnie, a grunt of recognition. The lion's Grimsby. Squirrel's Sid. The panther there's Commander Shade. They're the team Laydons sent after me, but I convinced them to join us. Commander Shade stepped forward then. Actually, we were hoping to get a look at the asset causing all the talk back at the Academy, he said while sizing up Sliver.
Academy!
They all looked at him, even Sarge. You don't know about the Beast Academy? Sarge asked. Sliver shook his head. We have a lot to discuss, Sarge said. But let's get off the street first. They retreated back to the safe house, where Dozer and Timber were waiting at the windows with raised spirits. Zip, alive, standing right in front of them. The tension didn't break immediately. It snapped. Dozer blinked. You're kidding me. Timber let out a breath. You little... How did you escape? Zip grinned cheekily. Let me take a leak, guys, and we can swap war stories. Then he shot off up the stairs, while the rest gathered around the kitchen table. Boar, Squirrel, and Lion took watch posts, and the rest waited for Zip. Shade spoke first. So, he said, voice low and even, is it true? Sarge glanced at him. Depends what you heard. Shade's eyes shifted to Sliver. That you walked into Malcolm Laydons' office, he said, told him you were leaving, and then fought your way out past his defenses. Is that accurate? Dozer snorted. More or less. Timber gave a tired half smile. Bit more running than fighting at the end. Sarge leaned back slightly. We didn't go in looking for a fight. No one ever does, Grimsby muttered. Shade didn't react to that. His attention stayed on Sliver. You started it, he said, not accusing, just stating. Sliver met his gaze.
I said I was leaving.
And he said no, I assume.
Yes.
There was a pause. Then Shade nodded slightly. Sounds about right? Takes something to do that? Stated Ben. Arnie grunted. There's someone with nothing left to lose. Sid piped up quickly. Or both. Usually both, statistically speaking. Grimsby cut him off with a look. Right. Quiet, Sid muttered. Shade leaned back slightly. And the escape? He asked. Sarge answered this time. Messy, he said. Frost held the line. Gave us an opening. The room quieted for a moment. Shade's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes did. Frost always did have ideas of getting out, he said quietly. Then Zip walked in, grinning like nothing in the world had ever gone wrong. All right, who's telling my heroic return story? He said. Dozer groaned. Oh no. Timber smirked faintly. Here we go. Sarge shook his head. Make it quick. Zip dropped into a chair, stretching out like he owned the place. right? He said. So after you lot abandoned me, we didn't abandon you, Sarge growled. Sorry, I heroically held the line. Zip corrected himself. I ran into a slight complication. Sid leaned forward instantly. Defined slight. Zip pointed at him. Ghoul. That got everyone's attention. Sliver's gaze sharpened slightly. The one from the facility? Sarge asked. Zip nodded. Yeah, cowboy-looking one. Creepy as hell. Dozer frowned. You fought it? Zip hesitated. Define fought. Arnie snorted. Zip sighed. All right, fine. I tried to fight it. Grimsby raised an eyebrow. And Zip gestured vaguely. It absolutely wrecked me. Timber let out a weak laugh. Knew it. Oi, Zip pointed at him. I slowed it down. Yeah, tactical delay. And he wasn't just some mindless zombie, he was an asset like Sliver. Sarge shook his head. You got caught? Briefly detained, Zip corrected. He knocked me out, and when I came round, I was cuffed in security.
Then what?
Zip grinned again. Then I slipped the cuffs, he said. Took off. No map, no supplies. Just vibes. Sid blinked. That's not a plan. Worked, didn't it? Zip shot back. Only because we picked you up, Ben chuckled. Arnie leaned back. We found him half dead in the desert. Alive, though, Zip added quickly. Barely, then muttered. Shade looked between them all. Laydon would know they weren't coming back by now. So like it or not, they were in it with them. Commander Shade rested his arms lightly on the table, fingers steepled as he looked between them all. There's talk, he said. His voice was calm, but it carried. Whispers, quiet conversations. Agents questioning orders more than they used to. Sid nodded quickly. Oh yeah, it's spreading fast too, like statistically speaking, once one unit breaks. Sid, Grimsby said. Right. Quiet again, got it. Shade didn't break focus. What you did, he continued, looking at Sliver and Sarge's team. It's already moving through the ranks. I won't be surprised if more start running now. Dozer leaned back slightly. Wouldn't blame them, would you? Ben nodded. No one wants to stay there. Most just don't think they can leave. Shade's eyes narrowed slightly. That was how they wanted it. The lot just proved they can. He let that sit for a moment, then asked the real question. So what's the plan? All eyes shifted, not to Sarge, not to Shade, to Sliver. He hadn't sat down. He stood beside Sarge the whole time, watching, listening. For a moment, it looked like he might say nothing. Then he said,
I'm not afraid of Malcolm Laydon.
That got everyone's attention. Sarge frowned slightly. Sliver. Sliver stepped forward, into the center of the room.
There's still lots of them there, at this academy.
Shade nodded, watching him carefully now.
They don't leave because they think they can, right?
And you want to change that? He asked. Sliver nodded once.
Yes. I want to free them all. Everyone deserves to be free.
Sid blinked rapidly. That's not small. It's like massively not small. Dozer let out a low breath. You're talking about going back? Timber shifted slightly, wincing, but focused. It's not just going back. Starting something big. Sarge studied Sliver for a long moment. You're not just trying to leave anymore, are you? He said.
No. I'm trying to end it.
That changed everything. Shade leaned back, arms folded, considering, calculating. Grimsby spoke next. You're talking about taking on Malcolm Laydon?
Not yet.
Ben nodded slowly. Then how? Sliver looked at them all.
Show them they have a choice.
Arnie huffed. That's not enough on its own.
No, but it starts it.
Sarge leaned forward, elbows on his knees. We find others like us. Teams already questioning. There's plenty on the edge, Zip said. Shade's gaze sharpened. So you build numbers, he said. Then what? Sliver didn't answer immediately.
Then we stop running.
The room went quiet again, but this time it wasn't disbelief. It was pure tension, understanding of what that meant. Shade exhaled slowly. That's a war you're talking about. Sliver met his gaze.
Yes.
Shade nodded. All right. And that was it. Decision made. Ben cracked his knuckles. We'll need intel. Sid perked up. Good at that. Like really good. Arnie grunted. We'll need targets first. Sarge stood. We start small, he said. Scout teams. Search out any teams that could be on our trail. Dozer grinned slightly. Convince them, or show them they can leave, Timber added. Shade stood last, taking command, but not ownership. Then we move, he said. Everyone looked at Sliver, and this time he didn't hesitate.
It starts now.
They moved out in small groups, quiet, careful, spreading out across the ruined outskirts, watching, listening, looking for signs of patrols, of other teams looking for them. This went on for several days without a sign of anyone. Then one afternoon, while half the squad was out on patrols close to the outskirts, they came. Sleep hadn't lasted long. Sliver didn't dream. He stopped, and when he woke, it wasn't gradual, it was instant. His eyes shot open to the sound of glass shattering downstairs. There was movement, fighting, heavy and fast. Furniture breaking, walls taking hits, voices short, sharp, and panicked. Sliver was already on his feet, heading for the door. Then automatic gunfire. It tore through the house like it was made of paper. He moved fast into the bathroom, pressing against the wall, just as bullets ripped through the upper stairwell, splintering wood and punching holes through plaster. He didn't breathe, didn't move, just listened. The gunfire stopped. Then there was a few loud bangs. Then he could hear talking, but too quiet to hear what was said. He moved towards the door. Creak. A loose floorboard, louder than it should have been. Suddenly, footsteps. It's not like the others. These thundered up the stairs in 3 massive bounds. Sliver's eyes narrowed. That wasn't normal. Doors began, opening one by one, systematically, checking. The third door opened. Right next to him. Sliver moved fast. The bathroom door exploded open as he drove forward. There was a massive figure, with his back to him in the bedroom doorway. A figure at least a foot taller than him, broad as a wall, barely shifting as Sliver slammed into him, but just enough to stagger him into the room, then slamming the door shut between them. A second. That's all he needed. He turned and leaped down the stairs in one fluid motion, landing hard at the bottom, seeing everything. Grimsby the lion morph, blood pooling beneath him. Ben, blanked out, face down, unconscious and barely breathing. Sliver's vision tightened. Where was Zip? Movement outside. He burst through the open door, just in time to see Arnie being thrown into the back of a truck, a soldier hauling him like cargo, and already in the back, Zip, cuffed, bruised, but alive. Their eyes met. Sliver's blood boiled, but Zip shook his head. Run, he mouthed. A loud thud behind him forced his decision. He turned, ran around the side of the building, then off down the street. The ground blurred beneath him as he vaulted fences, tore through gardens, and cut corners without slowing. Behind him, heavy footsteps, gaining fast. The giant was following, and he was catching up. Sliver pushed harder. He jumped a wall, then clambered up a mesh fence. A hand caught his leg as he reached the top, dragging him down hard. He hit the ground, rolling, momentum breaking as he slammed into dirt and stone. The giant was on him instantly, massive hands grabbing at his wrists. Sliver twisted, kicked free, rolled back to his feet, and without thinking, spat. The acid hit the giant full in the face, hissing, burning, and smoking. The man staggered back, rubbing his eyes, growling like it annoyed him more than hurt him. That was enough. Sliver ran again. Down the block. No pattern. No path. Just movement. Fast. And unpredictable. He didn't stop. Didn't look back. Didn't slow. Because behind him, something was still coming. And this time, it wasn't just beast agents or mercenaries. It was something worse. Something built. It's just like him, but bigger, stronger, and not alone. Sliver ran into the night, searching out the scout teams before they returned to the safe house, which ironically was no longer safe. He found them on their way back and had to break the news to them about Zip and the others. Dozer roared. "We just got Zip back," Timber grunted. Sid looked stricken with shock. "They're all gone?" Sarge and Shade exchanged looks. Then Sarge said, "We had a visit."
What do you mean? A visit from who?
"Not completely sure. They didn't give a name," Shade replied, while comforting the shocked Sid. Sliver tilted his head, puzzled. "We didn't see them," Sarge added. "They spoke from the shadows."
What did they want?
"You actually," said Timber. Sliver turned to face him.
Malcolm, send them.
"I don't think so," said Sarge. Sliver turned back to him again. "They said to meet with their boss on the spot, where we talked. At midnight tomorrow. They said it would be worth your time," Shade added.
It could be a trap.
"That's true, but I say we at least go take a look," demanded Shade, his calm composure cracking finally. Sliver noticed it and felt the same. He put a hand on Shade's shoulder.
All right, we take a look, but we do it tactically.
Shade nodded once in acknowledgement. "So, where do we go till tomorrow night?" "Anywhere we can lay low," replied Sarge. "Spread out. There has to be somewhere we can use around here." They moved in teams of two, Sarge and Timber, Shade and Sid, and Sliver and Dozer. It wasn't long before they found somewhere. Well, Sid did. It was just an old tin shack built between two buildings, but it was almost invisible from the road and big enough to rest inside. They took turns on watch throughout the day. When night came, they wasted no time, moving straight to the meeting location. They took a position close by in an old store and waited. The plan formed quickly. Sarge and Sliver would approach the source of the voice they'd spoken with, Shade, and Dozer would hold back, close enough to strike, far enough to stay hidden. Timber, still injured, and Sid would stay further out, watch and warn, make sure they weren't walking into another trap. Midnight came. The city was dead quiet. Too quiet. Sliver and Sarge moved through the streets like shadows, keeping low, using broken walls and wreckage for cover. Ahead, the target building, a two-story house, half collapsed. One entire side torn open, exposing rooms like a cross-section. They stopped, watched, listened, and waited. 5 minutes went by. 10, 15. Nothing happened. Sarge muttered under his breath, "Either we're early, or this is wrong." Sliver scanned the area around the building. Then he said,
We check inside.
Sarge nodded in agreement. and they moved in. Inside, the structure groaned faintly with every step. Dust and debris, broken beams and windows. They moved carefully, avoiding anything that might collapse under their weight. Up the stairs, or what was left of them, step by step, eyes scanning, weapons ready. Then they saw her, on the second floor, sitting, waiting. A figure in a chair in the middle of an exposed room, moonlight cutting across her face. Still, calm, watching them. She hadn't moved, hadn't reacted, like she'd known exactly when they'd arrive. Sarge stopped a few steps away. Sliver didn't. He stepped into the room fully, studying her curiously. Pale skin. Still, and confident eyes that didn't blink, and studying him right back. "Cassia Halbert," she said softly, introducing herself before they could ask. Sarge frowned slightly. "You've been expecting us." A faint smile touched her lips. "Yes." Sliver's gaze hardened slightly.
You know who we are.
"I know enough," she said. Her eyes shifted to Sliver, "especially about you. That didn't sit well." "Who sent you?" Sarge asked. Cassia leaned back slightly in the chair. "My employer." "Do they have a name?" Sarge said sarcastically. "No." Her answer was immediate. Sarge's jaw tightened. "And we're done here." Cassia didn't move, didn't react. "You're not done," she said calmly. "My employer is opposed to the Laydon Corporation." That stopped him. She tilted her head slightly. "That makes us aligned." Sliver didn't lower his guard.
Why? Help us!
Cassia's eyes flicked between them. "Because you've already done something most cannot," she said. "You broke away. That hurt them more than you know." A faint smile again. "And now, you're trying to break others free." Sarge and Sliver exchanged a quick glance. She knew way too much.
You've been watching us!
"Yes." "How?" Sarge growled. Kasia's smile didn't change. "That's not part of the offer." "What offer?" he asked. Kasia leaned forward slightly. "Aid in your rebellion."
What kind of aid?
"You're being hunted," she continued. "Tracked, isolated, and outnumbered." Her gaze locked onto Sliver. "That won't change. We can help you gather more agents, enough to make this rebellion matter." The word hung in the air. Rebellion. Real now, not just an idea. Sarge folded his arms. "Nothing's free though, right?" "No," Cassia agreed. "It isn't." She stood slowly. "There is a cost." Sliver didn't look away.
What?
"My employer would like you to retrieve an item for her." Sarge frowned. "From where?" Cassia shook her head slightly. "Details come later." "Not good enough," Sarge said. Cassia's eyes sharpened slightly. "It will be."
What do you offer us?
Cassia didn't hesitate. "Information. An inside man at the academy." There was a short pause. A helicopter. That changed things. Dozer and Shade shifted slightly in the shadows behind, still hidden, but listening. Sarge exhaled slowly. "That's a lot to offer for a simple retrieval, Cassia. My employer seemed to think it's a worthy cause." "Can your inside man help get agents out of the academy?" Sarge questioned. "I'll have to verify it, but I assume so," replied Casia. She looked directly at Sliver. "Decide." The room went silent. Sarge looked at Sliver. This was his call. Sliver thought for a moment, then answered bluntly.
We agree.
Sarge didn't argue, because he had no idea what else they could do. Cassia smiled properly this time. Good. She stepped back to war at the edge of the exposed room. Then we have a deal. When? Cassia glanced back over her shoulder. 1 week, same place. All arrangements will be made by then.
And the helicopter.
You'll have it, she replied. Then she stepped back into the shadows and was gone. No sound, no trace, just empty space where she'd been standing. Sarge exhaled slowly. I don't like that. Sliver kept staring at the spot. You knew she was a vampire, right?
No, I don't know what a vampire is. But we need their help.
Behind them, Shade stepped forward from cover. You do realize you just made a deal with something you don't understand. Sliver nodded slightly.
Apparently.
They turned away from the building and retreated into the night. A week they had to plan, just 1 week. And if that vampire keeps her end of the bargain, the beast agents would see Malcolm Laydon was not all powerful, as he would have them believe. They moved back to the shack before first light. No one spoke much on the way. The deal sat heavy. A helicopter, and someone inside the facility to pass information. It was everything they needed, which meant the cost would be much worse than she made it sound. They didn't settle at the shack. They moved out quickly, so as not to be found like last time. They had a week to evade capture and to plan what to do with the gifts bestowed by their would-be new friends. They scouted and scavenged under the cover of night. By day, they took refuge where they could. Never the same building, always moving, always one step ahead. They made their decision by day 3. 3 long nights, they discussed their options. The plan they came up with seemed foolproof. Intel first. Find out how many are willing and how best to get them out. With a chopper at hand, transporting them should be a lot easier. They just needed to establish a pickup point, then get the word around the academy. The first thing they needed to do, however, well, as soon as they got that chopper in the air, was find a secure location to hold up. There was little point breaking anyone out at all. They were only to be caught straight away running around out in the open. Up to now, they'd barely survived, on pure luck themselves. But a larger group would be a lot harder to hide. But that would have to wait. Hanging on the promise of a vampire, the arrangement wasn't one they'd wish to make. A dodgy deal with an even dodgier creature that sounded so too good to be true that it was clearly hiding its true purpose. How bad that would turn out to be, they had no way of knowing right then. All they knew was that they were starting a rebellion, and Sliver was leading the charge by popular demand. The group managed to stay undetected for the entire week long, despite the 2 spy drones scouting out the areas they were staying in. Besides that, it was pretty much smooth sailing. The week ended, and they made their way back to the meeting point, arriving shortly before midnight. They didn't arrive all at once. Too risky. Shade, Sid, and Sarge took the outer perimeter first, silently checking angles, rooftops, and any broken sight lines. Sid relayed back to the others quietly through comes.
No thermal spikes. No movement patterns. Either it's clean or it's very not clean.
Helpful, Dozer muttered. Sliver approached last, visibly. If it was a trap, he'd spring it first. The same building, half collapsed, open to the night, and just like before, she was there. Cassia Halbert sat in the same chair, same position, like she hadn't moved in a week, waiting. Sarge and Shade followed him inside. You're punctual, she said softly. Sarge didn't slow. He said 1 week. And here you are. Sliver stopped a few steps from her.
You said you'd have a helicopter.
Cassia tilted her head slightly. I said you'd have one, and you do. I'll take you to it, or would you rather it here? That didn't go down well. Behind them, Shade stepped into view. You're changing terms. Kazi's eyes flicked to him, adapting them a little as required. Sarge folded his arms. That's not reassuring. Cassia stood, graceful and unhurried. There's an armored transport, she said. 3 streets west. Sid's voice came through, comes immediately.
Confirming large vehicle signature, low heat profile. Definitely armored.
Cassia continued, It will take you to a secondary location. How far? Sarge asked. Several hours? Why? Cassia smiled faintly. Because your helicopter is waiting there. And my employer offers the location as a safe house. Silence. No one liked it. Not the distance. Not the lack of control. Not the way she kept deciding things for them. You're moving us blind, Shade said. No, Cassia replied. I'm moving you safely. Her gaze shifted back to Sliver. We've also taken the liberty of accelerating your situation. That sharpened the room instantly.
What does that mean?
There is a breakout being planned, she announced. No one spoke, but everything changed. Cassia dipped closer. Our internal contact has arranged it. The operation is already in motion. By the time you arrive, they will be ready to move. Who? Shade demanded. Which agents? Cassia shook her head slightly. Names are irrelevant. They're not to us, Sarge said, stepping forward. Cassia looked at him briefly, then back to Sliver. All you need to do, she said, is be there to extract them. Sarge looked at Sliver. This wasn't our plan, Shade added. We don't know the variables. Could be a trap. Could be a purge.
And if it's real, we miss it. We might lose them for good.
That was the weight. That was the hook. Sliver stood still, thinking, not reacting, weighing it.
They're already moving.
Cassia nodded once. He looked back at the others.
They took Arnie, Zip Ben, and many others. If DC's real, this is our chance.
Sarge exhaled slowly. And if it's not, Sliver met his eyes.
Then we deal with it.
That was his answer. Not safe, not certain, but clear. Shade studied him for a long moment, then nodded once. Fine, we do it their way. Sarge looked back at Cassia. If this goes wrong, it won't, she said quickly, too confidently. Sarge didn't like that. None of them did. They moved 3 streets west, just like she said, informing the others what was happening on the way. The transport was there, low profile, armored, engine idling quietly, no driver in sight. Sid scanned quickly. No remote triggers, no obvious traps, which was somehow worse. Shade opened the rear door slowly. Inside was empty. He looked back at Sliver. This is it. Sliver glanced once more toward where Cassia had been. She was gone, again, like she'd never been there at all.
We move.
They boarded the truck one by one. The doors sealed behind them with a heavy thud, and the vehicle began to move. Hours passed. No windows, no sense of direction, just the hum of the engine. Finally, the vehicle slowed, then stopped. The doors opened. Cool air rushed in. An abandoned warehouse stretched out before them. Wide, empty, dark, and there, beside it, a helicopter waiting. Ready. Dozer let out a low whistle as he stepped out. All right, she delivered. Sarge didn't relax. No, he said. She's setting the stage. Sliver stepped down, eyes locked on the chopper. On what came next?
Then we play our part, for now.
Because now, it wasn't just about survival. It was about extraction. And Whatever waited for them at the academy was already in motion. They swept the area before moving in, but everything seemed unsettlingly abandoned. It's like no one had been here for years. The chopper was operational and full of fuel. The warehouse completely empty and totally usable with a bit of work. And so they settled in and awaited the extraction day. The day before it was supposed to take place, Cassia came over the chopper's radio with a message. Sid intercepted and relayed it to the others. She said they have delayed the breakout for another 3 days due to complications, Sid told them. Want us to fly the helicopter to a location 7 clicks north of the academy. Wait further instructions. Dozer snorted. Doesn't she realize how dangerous that is for us? Sid shrugged. That's what she said. 7 clicks is close enough to rush in at a moment's notice, Sarge said. It makes sense. Close enough to get us seen on radar too, pointed out Timber. Maybe, muttered Sarge. Then he looked at Sliver. What do we do? Sliver stood thinking for a long moment. Then he said,
We go! I want to be close when it happens.
Sarge sighed loudly. Right, so we're going. Sid, get the chopper ready, Shade ordered. Everyone else gear up. It gets intense from here on. And that's what they did. Geared up, boarded the chopper, and headed for the designated location. The place was nothing but a dusty little valley halfway up a mountain. They had no trouble getting there without being spotted. Not that it was surprising. The place was in the middle of nowhere. They took turns watching and resting, with somebody constantly by the radio, waiting. They felt more and more like puppets in somebody else's plan. Kasia's employers, whoever that was. They didn't even know the name of who was behind all this. And that fact alone made them very uneasy. The call came out of nowhere. A sharp burst across the comms, distorted and fragmented. Sid froze mid-sentence. Wait, hold on. This is not background noise. This is a signal. He scrambled, your hands flying over the equipment they'd rigged together in the warehouse. Everyone, get in here. The urgency in his voice was different. Not chatter, not analysis. Real, immediate. Sarge was already moving. What is it? Sid didn't look up. It's them. It's happening. We've got. He paused, then looked up. Eyes wide. 1 hour. That was all it took. Everything became motion. Weapons grabbed. Gear thrown on. Dozer hauling supplies into the chopper. Shade issuing short, precise commands. Timber strapping in. Still not fully recovered, but not staying behind. No one liked it. Not the timing, not the lack of control, not the fact that this was their plan we were playing out, not ours. But there was no time to argue. Sliver climbed into position near the side door as the rotors began to spin. Silent and focused as always, this was it. The chopper cut through the night. Fast. Low. No lights. Sid piloted, voice tight. I'm routing us through dead zones, keeping us off standard scans. If they're watching, we're already burned anyway. Just get us there, Sarge said. Working on it. They made their way along the mountain, and then the academy came into view, even from a distance. They could hear the alarms, loud and relentless, echoing through the valley. They've started, Shade said. Or they've been made, Sarge replied. Sid pulled the chopper up along the slope, keeping just outside turret range. I can't take us any closer without lighting us up.
That's close enough.
They all saw them then. Dozens of figures pouring up the slope. Beast agents running, escaping, or trying to. Turret fire trailed after them. Get ready, Sarge shouted. Dozer moved to the opposite side. It's grabbing the rope ladder. Dropping now. The ladders fell. swinging. The first agents reached them almost immediately, climbing, desperate, fast. Sliver stood at the door, one hand gripping the frame, the other reaching down.
Hurry up!
He pulled the first one in, a cheetah morph, bleeding but conscious. Then another and another. Move. Keep moving, Sarge barked. Shade coordinated inside, dragging them in, making space. Timber helped where he could, pulling climbers over the edge. The chopper rocked with the added weight. Too many, Sid shouted. We're pushing it. Keep steady, Shade replied. Below, more were coming, dozens more. They wouldn't all fit in. Sliver knew it. He grabbed another agent. Then he saw him. At the base of the ladder, the giant, unaffected, unstoppable, shouting up at the agent's left, climbing the ladder. Sid, shouted Shade, get us out of here. The chopper banked immediately, but not quick enough. The giant leapt onto the ladder and climbed. Fast. Too fast for his size. Sliver's grip tightened. He had to cut the ladder, but more agents were still climbing. One slipped. Sliver grabbed them, dragging them up just in time. The chopper lurched again. Sid's voice strained. We are at limit, I repeat. We are at limit. A leopard woman reached the top. Sliver pulled her in. She turned immediately. Looking down, saw the giant climbing, saw the blades in Sliver's hand, and her eyes widened. Sliver, don't, please, she pleaded. Sliver hesitated. 1 second too long. The giant was almost up, the ladder straining under his weight. Sliver, Sarge snapped. The leopard woman lunged for the knife, but Sliver moved faster. His blade flashed. The rope snapped, the ladder dropped, and the giant fell, vanishing from sight below. For a moment, everything froze. Then, let's go, Shade roared. Sid didn't hesitate. The chopper pulled hard away from the mountain, engines roaring as they climbed fast and sharp out of range. Sarge grabbed the sobbing leopardess, shoved her into a seat. We'll deal with you later. Below, the academy burned with alarms, searchlights cutting through the shadows. Agents still running, still fighting, still trying to escape, but the chopper was already gone. Inside, it was packed. Too many bodies. It's too much silence. Sarge looked around, counting. They all sat back, except Sliver. Sliver stood at the window, looking back, watching the academy's lights vanish into the distance. They'd taken many, saved many, but they'd left a lot behind. His grip tightened slightly on the frame. Not anger, not regret. Something else. Resolve. Because this was only the beginning, and now was no hiding anymore. They had just struck the academy, and Malcolm Layden would know exactly who did it. They were now at war with the Layden Corporation, a war that would require a lot more soldiers than just one chopper load. But first they had to get these back, armed, and up to date with the situation. Then there was also the matter of holding up their end of the deal, this retrieval mission, which they still hadn't been given any details about yet. First things first, deal with the situation at hand. Get back and wait for contact from Cassia. Then they go from there. Thank you all for watching the second part of Sliver's story. Please do support the channel, because let's face it, I bloody need some help. I'll see you all for part 3, hopefully. Until next time, peace.